take the other teams in that division one at a time right here, starting with the Cowboys. It certainly feels the way that the games ended in Houston on Sunday night a couple weeks ago, and then this game where just only 2 plays with 52 seconds and a timeout in their back pocket were able to be squeezed off for a 52-yard attempt with a 5-yard penalty that was as bizarre as they come. It just feels like this is the last chance, finally, for Jason Garrett in Jerry Jones's mind. How do you think it sits?
Well, I think sometimes we talk about Jason Garrett like he's the Marvin Lewis of the NFC, and I don't necessarily think that that's the case. If you're around the Dallas Cowboys and you see how they work together, and you see basically that Rod Marinelli is coaching this defense and putting up a really good representative product year after year, I mean, this is not – I don't think it's automatic that Garrett goes. In other words, I think it is more likely than not that he goes if they go 6-10 or whatever. But, Rich, I would agree with you. The clock management in the last 2 weeks has been poor, period. He obviously should have gone for it last week instead of punted back to the Texans, and he should have gotten more than 6 yards out of the last 52 seconds or whatever it was. But having said all that, too, I mean, that was a horrible, horrible call. Tony Dungy said it on Football Night last night. I've watched it a bunch of times. I watched the J.P. LaDouceur press thing afterwards, and I did look it up. This guy has not had a penalty since 2014 on that snap. Why all of a sudden, when you snap the ball the same on every one, why do you get a penalty called on you at an absolutely vital moment of a game that just might decide this division?
Well, and look, I am a Jason Garrett defender, and you are right. I mean, look, the way that they have been playing on defense, I know Rod Marinelli coaches it, but this team is a cohesive unit. It does appear, and it does get better on at least one side of the ball. But there just seems to be clock management issues, and also just Dak Prescott has totally regressed, and whatever, ingenuity that we see in the home games, including that Jaguar game that was between Houston and Washington, it just seems that the same problems crop up when the games get toughest. And who else do you have to point the finger towards? Because it's not going to go towards the general manager, that's for sure. That's the only point that I'd like to make on that front. What you just said.
Rich, you're right, but just remember one thing. Just like Mike Brown with Marvin Lewis, the entire free world can think this is a bad coach. They got to get rid of Marvin. They got to do this. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks in the outside world, because Mike Brown really doesn't care. And I'm not saying Jerry doesn't care. He cares. He cares what people think about his team, no question. But this isn't like a lot of teams where the owner sticks his finger in the air, licks it, and sees which way the wind is blowing to see if he's going to keep his coach or not. Jerry Jones, is going to really have to be slapped in the face. This is a guy who kept the same coach through 3, 6, and 10 years, remember. And so I'm not convinced that this is it. I think, as I said, it's more likely than not if they finish under 500 that this is it, but it's not a certainty.
Yeah, there's a bye, and then their next 2 games are on national television. Monday night at home against Tennessee, and then at Philadelphia on Sunday Night Football. So it's only going to get hotter, the seat, if there are no wins.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.